Hello all, my name is Patrick Stafford and today I'll be debating against sweatshops. I'll be debating that sweatshops are not generally good for developing nations. Um, so the real question here I think is, does the perceived economic gain of sweatshops in a developing nation outweigh the unethical practices? So obviously sweatshops can be beneficial for a nation's economy. For example, it's basically their comparative advantage to use sweatshops because they have an abundance of willing workers that will work for less than minimum wage in most developed countries. Um, so due to this fact, there's no set minimum wage. There's no legislation in these countries on what the minimum wage should be. The market determines the minimum wages, which is really drawing on Adam Smith's ideas of a free market. But then there's also the question of ethics when it comes down to it. The first of those being obviously child labor. That's a huge issue in sweatshops. According to World Vision Australia, which is a development advocacy organization, uh, children working in sweatshops can be exposed to toxic solvents, which can affect their long-term physical and mental development. There's also a huge risk of injury, obviously, working with sharp objects and sometimes lifting heavy objects. Women are also usually treated as less than men in these sweatshops. They usually have lower wages, may not have the same benefits, if anyone has any benefits at all, that is. There's also obviously harsh conditions in these workshops or sweatshops, very unreasonable hours. So, going through all of this to make a life, it might be better than what their life, the worker's life in a rural area or something, but like, can we really allow these people to live like this and let these sweatshops still go on? Also, in the past, several factories have collapsed. These buildings are usually not built to standard, very shoddy usually. For example, in Bangladesh, factories from huge companies such as Walmart and H&M have collapsed, killing hundreds of people. And sweatshops are still used today by huge companies such as Apple, Nestle, and Gap. But there has been proof that boycotting a company can work, obviously. This is actually kind of relevant to today's issue, or an issue in our modern world today, of the Colin Kaepernick ad that Nike put out and people protesting that. But that's a different issue, but kind of related to that. In the 90s, it came out that Nike were using sweatshops to make pretty much all their products. And there was huge backlash from the public. And the public boycotted their products, which is happening right now, but I don't think it's going to be to that extent. The public basically boycotted the products. Nike took a step back and said, we're going to review our practices, and now they're a really ethical company. I mean, today, I'm pretty sure they still use some sweatshops, I'm sure, but yeah. Basically, the question that you have to ask yourself is, does the economic gain of that country outweigh the unethical practices that take place in sweatshops? And maybe you think that sweatshops and the economic gain of sweatshops is more beneficial to these people, as even though they're working in terrible conditions. So let me know what you think. Another question I had is, would you boycott one of your favorite brands, one of your everyday brands that you buy a lot, just to stop the use of sweatshops, or would you boycott it for any other reason? Yeah, that's about it. Thank you.